The unfortunate thing about all this today is that we were closer to an agreement that we have been in this entire process, and then for whatever reason the state system kind of walked away. That's even after the governor basically said he wants the people to stay at the table. I'm Kevin Mahoney. I'm a professor in the English department here, and I am the mobilization chair, which is basically oversee this whole operation to get in preparation for the strike today. We're out here kind of basically to get a fair contract. We've been without a contract, we've been working without a contract for 476 days, and we've made it pretty clear that at some point you got to have a settlement. And some of the major issues that have been at stake is really something that we've been facing now for the past 3 contract negotiations, which is an attempt to basically divide the faculty into 2, from tenure line faculty, the faculty that are here kind of on a more long-term basis, right, and permanent basis, and adjunct faculty or temporary faculty as they're called in our contract. What PASCI has wanted to do quite a bit is turn this into, basically an academic piecework model, where you take, 25, 30%, 40% of your faculty, and you turn them into kind of poorly paid adjuncts getting paid per course, sub-poverty wages, with high turnover rates, right? And we just don't think that's a model that's sustainable or is the ones that we should be doing here in the state system of higher education. Wanting to shift a lot of our courses to online courses, so that even students that would be, in one of those big dorms that they built right across the street over there, even though they're sitting there in their dorm room and there's their faculty members across campus, they would have to take classes that were for distance ed. They also wanted to strip away healthcare from future retirees, right? Again, practice of dividing the faculty, saying you got yours right now, but for future people who come in, new faculty come in, we're not going to give that to them. We just don't think that's the way we should operate. So, as faculty, I think that we see our role here is not just what's happening right now, right this semester, but how do we ensure that this stuff gets, kind of carried forward. So not just the students who are going to be graduating this semester or next semester, but the students who will be graduating in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, right? Is this place going to have the integrity that we think it has now? If not.
Students on strike, education is our right. Students on strike, education is our right. Students on strike, education is our right.
Because of our organizing efforts, because of that faculty have been standing together, PASCI has dropped some of the worst proposals that they had out there, like turning a lot of our faculty into poorly paid adjuncts, right? Most of that has been pushed back now, which is fantastic. And what we heard kind of leading up to today was that there had been a lot of progress, which is the first time in the entire negotiation process that there's actually been progress. And they came closer and closer together, but then for some reason, PASCI said, that's it, we're done negotiating, and 11 o'clock last night said, this is our last offer, and they walked away from the table and they didn't come back. I think if you talk about what can students do, students have already answered that question for themselves. I mean, you look at the students who are out here today. I mean, students have been pouring out all day long, coming down here, making signs, making support. They've been showing up with food, right? It's that kind of thing that you feel is happening, right? As part of what you do here. You're kind of building relationships with students in the classroom that, you're committed to them, and that you feel that kind of a daily basis. When you have something like this happen, you never know what's going to happen. You see students saying, like, what can I do? Well, I'm going to show up at the strike headquarters. I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a chance. Faculty can't go on campus, we'll go on campus, right? So the students have been marching across campus with signs and drums today. Absolutely amazing. Letters and emails to Chancellor Brogan, right? To say, look, enough of the nonsense, get back to the table and go. Get back to the table and let's get an agreement. We're that close, right? So nobody wants this to go on for long, and his own personal ego or political aspirations is not a good reason to keep this going. I look at this university and it feels like it's been slowly kind of stripped away from us, right? From not just faculty, but faculty and students. I think about higher education, and that's the core of it, right? Faculty and students on this campus. This is our campus. And it's seemed like at times where, you have these bureaucrats or these politicians, they've got their ideological agendas or whatever it might be, they seem to want to make it theirs, and they seem to know what's better. What we're seeing out here today in this kind of outpouring of solidarity and kind of support is, what I kind of see is also about reclaiming this campus, right? And saying this is our campus. And I say to students, and I've said to our faculty members, say, you know what? So you like these students come out here, you kind of appreciate what's going on. The day that this gets settled, we're going to go back to those students and say, now what can we do for you? right? What are the issues that are important to you right now? Because you came out for us, now we want to get behind you. So, you know, I mean, all the pieces to like coming together. You know, it's been a lot of work. We've been organizing for this since May. It's been a long, arduous process, but you know, it's been paying off. So that's just a huge thanks to everybody. So.